Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast, where it's all about using the power of your mind to create hope, health, and miracles on your fertility journey. And now your host, a dash of science and a heap of spirit, Dr. Maria Rothenberger.
Hey there, and welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast. I'm Maria Rothenberger, your host for the podcast. This is episode 128. Is the other side real? Yeah, it's kind of a deep topic, right? And yet, so freaking fun. I can't wait to go over some of these anecdotes with you. I'm going to be talking about spirit baby sessions and some of the things that have come out of spirit baby sessions, obviously completely anonymously. I'm not going to be talking about people's names and things that have seen me, but also outside of spirit baby sessions, when I started doing this kind of work, really it wasn't work. It was like just something I would do at like parties for fun or something. I'm just kidding. I don't do that at parties, but I would. First of all, I'm an introvert. I don't often attend parties. And then there's COVID. Anyway, tangent. This is something that I would just do when things would come to my mind, would come to my awareness. And things have changed a lot since then. If you don't know about how I started doing spirit baby mediumship, spirit baby communication, you'll want to go back to the podcast episode back in July of 2020 when I, quote, came out. I think I called it my coming out story. And you can hear all about how this came to be back in that episode. So it's been more than a year and I've had a lot of fun, like so much fun, and a lot of anecdotes around whether or not this shit is real. So before I get to that though, just want to, of course, check in with you and tell you what's happening in the Miracles Happen Fertility Center. If you are not on my newsletter already, which why not? Hello, lots of good information on there. I do not bombard your inbox. In fact, people have asked for more emails. Usually once a month I send out a newsletter, and then there are some occasional emails in the middle there. So if you're not on my newsletter, then you don't know this, but, and if you want to be on my newsletter, just go to my website, drmariarothenberger.com, and you can sign up right there, right on the front page. If you scroll down a little bit further, though, there are some free gifts, and if you get any of those gifts, you're automatically on my list anyway. Unsubscribe at any time, not a big deal, no hurt feelings. I just want you to have some free stuff. How's that? Because what else is free in the fertility world? Am I right? Okay. So if you're not on my list, then you don't know that I am going to be hosting a Spirit Baby Foundations training in September. I have talked about it on the podcast before. So if you're an avid listener or you've listened to a few episodes before, then you might already know this. But the actual launch day is now September 25th, 2021. Now, this is really important. You must be on my list to get more up-to-date information because this is going to go fast, okay? This training is very small, very intimate on purpose. This is the first time I'm going to be offering this training, and it's going to be live. That means you're going to be live connecting with me, both individually and in a group setting. We're going to be practicing your newfound skills that you're going to be learning to do this kind of work. You're going to learn how to connect with your own spirit babies. You're going to learn how to connect with others' spirit babies. You're going to be learning how to tap into your own clairs, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, etc. You're going to be using tools like journaling and meditation and crystals and sage and other clearing techniques. And P.S., there are plenty of bonuses. One of them is the Spirit Baby Oracle deck by Kelly Meehan. You're going to be getting, like in real life, in the mail, shit from me. That's going to come from me, specifically for you. Yay! And then at the end of the training, I've already got my eyes set on a little graduation, quote, graduation gift after the training. It's 8 weeks, and it starts the end of this month. So head on over to my newsletter so you can get more information. I just sent out a quick survey for folks to fill out. So I'm getting more information on things that people absolutely need in this training. And if you don't make the cut for this particular release of the training, I will probably be running it again. It won't be for another 6 months or something, but I will be running it again at some point. So you're not completely dead in the water, but right now is the time to start, is the time to get on my list if you want to start this training. Okay, let's get into today's topic. Is the other side real? Now, the short answer to this is, I don't fucking know. I don't know. The end. The podcast has now ended. Go forth and be well. Just kidding. How can any of us know? Truly, we have a sense, we have a feeling, we have a quote knowing, we can tell inside of ourselves that it's real, and we can find anecdotal evidence to support it, but how could we ever know from a scientific perspective, right? So that's the short answer, I don't know. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because anecdotal evidence is still evidence. It's not traditional scientific evidence that we could, put on in a journal somewhere. But it is evidence still. One of my very favorite stories, not Spirit Baby related, is by Dr. Eben Alexander. He wrote a book called Proof of Heaven. Now, of course, it's a pretty bold statement to say proof of heaven, right? Because there really is no way to prove that that there's another side, right? All we can do is go by the really millions of people who have had experiences of the other side. Okay, lots and lots and lots of anecdotal evidence. This is why I personally believe the other side is real, and yet I can't say I know, for a fact. None of us can. But I can speak to evidence. So I highly recommend picking up Dr. Alexander's book. It's phenomenal. Listen to it in an audiobook. His voice is great. There are a couple parts that are quite emotional and you can hear it in his voice. But one of the most amazing things, let me just tell his story briefly. So this is a medical doctor. He's a neurosurgeon and he was trained at Ivy League level and taught Ivy League level, I believe at Harvard Medical School. And he goes into a coma because he has meningitis. And it's a type of meningitis that really he should be dead. And if his body is still alive, there's no way that he should have a working brain. He should be a vegetable, according to the medical community, right? And now we know a lot of stories like this, like the medical community, the scientific community cannot explain what the hell is happening. So he goes into a coma and he has this amazing experience of the other side. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there is a jaw-dropping moment toward the end of the book that brings it all together for you and makes it really clear there is no freaking way he could have had that experience without there being another side, without there being the other side. Proof of heaven. This is why proof. So here's a person who is completely scientific. He does not believe in anything outside of what we can see, feel, hear, taste, whatever, touch. And he has this very deep experience. Oh, you could even go on YouTube and hear him tell his story. It's absolutely out of this world, phenomenal. He has completely changed, of course, his belief system and his way of seeing the world, his way of being in the world based on this experience. Another beautiful story is by Anita Moorjani. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And this is a woman who had stage 4 end-stage lymphoma cancer. And she was dying. She actually died and experienced a near-death experience where she saw her father and things like this. And of course, she's built a career around this because she wants people to have an understanding of how we all can change the way that our life exists right now by living the virtues that she learned, which is really to love yourself, really be self-compassionate and love yourself. But she had a very profound healing experience. So physicians really, again, we can't explain this. There was one, she talks about a radiologist who, after she came back into her body, her tumors were like the size of lemons and they all shrunk down after a few days. And so they had no idea how to explain what was going on. So she went to radiology, and the radiologist thought that he was looking at the wrong chart. He said, there's no way this can be your chart. I have the wrong chart here. I need to be seeing tumors right now. And now, of course, inside she's like, I know what's going on. I'm experiencing a healing because I had this near-death experience, and he's not understanding it. So she goes and she's completely healed, no cancer at all in her body at all. After a few weeks, she's finally released from the hospital with no explanation of what happened, although she has an explanation that nobody wants to hear. It is phenomenal. She also wrote another book that's called Sensitive is the New Strong. Whoa, I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list. I should probably do a book review episode at some point because I read a friggin' ton of books. Okay, so these are pieces of evidence that the other side exists. Now, I'm going to tell you about my own personal experiences as, an untrained medium, and also now a trained spirit baby medium, and, regular medium, I suppose, a non-specialized medium. I talk to dead people, right? Like, it's really bizarre that I say that I do that still, because I am science-minded. I'm a psychotherapist. I look at evidence. I like the bell curve. I like looking at things like that. And yet there's this other side that is, to me, quite real because of the anecdotal evidence. Okay, so with just a brief history, how I started doing this kind of work, or how I knew that I could do this kind of work, I was extremely anxious about this when it happened. So I was talking with a client, a therapy client, about her loss of her twins. Absolutely, I just, there aren't words, right? Just completely devastating. It was like 21 or 22 weeks gestation. She lost both her twins, and we were working through her grief. Now, in the middle of one of her sessions, her spirit babies were absolutely present. They were so strong and so present. I was distracted. It's as if there was somebody talking in my ear while I was in a session with her, like they were just standing right there. And this went on. They did not leave me alone. They followed me to my home. They messed with my radio. They messed with my podcast that I was listening to. And I was the entire time saying, this isn't real. This is stupid. This isn't real. I'm making this shit up. This can't be real. And as they're flipping through my podcast episodes, going back and forth, not my podcast. I didn't even have a podcast at that point. I was listening to Flow Dreaming by Summer McStravick, and a really great podcast, by the way, absolutely amazing. And it landed on an episode, at the part of an episode where she says, you need to get over yourself. And that hit me like a freaking ton of bricks. I'm like, these fucking babies are talking to me. I swear to God, this is happening. They followed me all the way home for 2 weeks. They bothered me. They bugged me. Okay. Listen to the rest of that story in that podcast episode from July 2020. So since then, I actually called in to Summer McStravick's podcast because I'm like, WTF, what is going on and why? How is this even possible? So I'm really anxious, like my heart's in my throat. And I say to her, what happened? And I'm like, what? Now I'm coming from this very sciencey left brain kind of person. And I said to her, what happened? Did my brain change or something? Like, what's going on? I said, I've been doing flow dreaming and I've been meditating for a number of years now. Is that what's going on? So basically, she said to me that in fact, her words, I didn't even hear what she was saying. I was so damn anxious. So I had to go back and re-listen to the episode after it was published. But she said that I had a shift in consciousness. Now, this is a shift in consciousness that anybody can experience. Okay, this is why I want to do the Spirit Baby Foundations training, because anybody can do that. Anybody can have a shift in consciousness. It's not a gift, it is a skill. Okay, absolutely, it's a skill, or a collaboration of skills, a conglomeration of skills, if you will. All right, so after that, I began sensing all kinds of energies. I was now open to this being a real thing. And I knew that the house that we lived in had a ghost in it of someone who had lived there before, not a nice person. And he would do things that were completely inappropriate and mean, like knock our Christmas tree over several times and shatter many of our beautiful ornaments that were precious to us. And other things, lots of other things. But that I was open to. My husband's mom has passed away. She passed away shortly after we got married from Alzheimer's disease. And I'm able to communicate. I started being able to communicate with her and said several things that I couldn't have known. I couldn't have known them. And once in a while, she'll still pop up and I'll say to my husband, I'll say, your mom's saying that yes, that was her in the car the other day when you were driving to work. And he'll just start crying because, it's evidence for him, right? That, yeah, I was talking to my mom and now she's communicating to me to tell him, yes, that was me. I was there, right? So those are just a couple of small anecdotes. Let's talk specifically about Spirit Baby sessions that I've had, okay? It's extremely powerful, okay? When you are going into a Spirit Baby session, especially when you don't know what to expect, and then shit comes out where you're like, I don't even know how you know that. How is that even possible? And I'm freaking out because I don't know how I know it either. I don't know either. Somebody asked a question recently. How do you know that it's not your left brain, or it's not just your brain thinking this shit up, and that it's actually coming from elsewhere? Okay. I can tell you how I know that. Okay. How I know that personally is that when my brain is thinking, it's always looking at opposing evidence. So is that real? Could that be real? Because this, because that, because this, because that, but what about this and what about that? It's always thinking, cycling through other explanations for what I'm experiencing. When it actually is coming from another source, coming from somebody on the other side, it's quick, it's easy, it's unfiltered. There's no emotion to it at all, except when spirit babies are wanting to express an emotion. It really just comes through as neutral. Here's an example. I think I mentioned this maybe on a previous podcast recently, or I wrote it in a newsletter. I'm not sure. But a very recent spirit baby session I had with somebody was the person was wondering about moving, how she should move forward. Should she do another retrieval and freeze some more embryos, or transfer what she has? And baby said to me, again, very neutral, but it's powerful. It's very powerful. The baby just said, I'm a Cancer. And that meant to me horoscope. Now, I don't know a lot about the horoscope, astrology. I don't know a lot of that stuff. So I love not knowing shit, because that helps me take my left brain out of it. It helps me take my thinking brain out of this whole scenario and just receive the information. I love when I don't know a lot about the person that's coming to see me for a spirit baby session. It's so helpful. So baby says, I'm a Cancer. So she and I are researching, well, when are Cancers born? And we look at the months that a Cancer might be born. And that meant, and if we backtracked, counted back, that meant transfer should happen shortly. Like, that's what she should do. She should, instead of doing another retrieval, she should probably consider transferring her current embryo. Okay, that happened. either the same day or the next day, mom, the client, emails me a photo of the mask that she was wearing that day, right? A COVID mask. And she said, I didn't know it, but there's a cancer symbol on my mask. It's huge. Like it's the whole mask for the cancer symbol. Now, she's not herself a cancer, so I don't know why she was wearing that, but and yet I do know why she was wearing that, right? She was like, look, how much clearer can baby get? I'm like, I know. How much clearer can baby get? That's one piece of anecdotal evidence. Another piece of evidence, I was talking to a client. This was actually in the very beginning of doing this work. So this was like July, August of 2020 sometime. And I think it may have even been, I did some initial free sessions as part of my self-study, as part of my training with Kelly Meehan. And so I did this spirit baby session where baby was showing me a lake, like a small lake, and a house that's near this lake. And there was just a field covered in yellow flowers. Now, the client knew about this house, this lakeside house, but she wasn't sure about the yellow flowers. I don't even know how much later, maybe it was a few months later, I get an email from her with a photo of that house, and there's just a hillside full of these yellow flowers. How I saw that, no freaking clue. It just popped in my head. And it's anecdotal evidence that this shit is real, that I'm getting information from the other side. Okay, another piece of anecdotal evidence, and I may have mentioned this also on the podcast before. I was talking with a client whose baby was very physically active. She or he, I think it may have been a male energy, they asked permission to prove their existence by moving shit around in the home or making sounds, because they didn't want to do it without asking permission because they didn't want to freak the parents out, right? Of course. Well, the mom, the client was like, well, yeah, of course, that's fine. No, I won't be freaked out. So I get an email from her later. I don't remember, again, the timing here, same day, later day, months later. I don't remember. All I remember is, whoa, that's incredible. She goes to take a shower and comes out into her bedroom to find that drawers of her, like either the nightstand or chest of drawers, were open. They were just open. Like, how does that happen? They were open. And they had other experiences too, like pictures falling off the wall and things like this. And sounds that they couldn't explain, that they'd never heard before. They just suddenly started coming out of nowhere. So more anecdotal evidence. Okay, another example. I have a nice list here, so I'm going to give you several pieces of examples. By the way, if you've had a session with me or anybody else, if you've had sessions like this with other people who do spirit baby sessions or any other kind of mediumship work, I would love to hear of your specific anecdotal evidence, how you came to an understanding that this shit is real, because how could they know that, right? I'm not flying to your house, digging through your garbage and learning about you. I'm just not doing that. And I get clients from all over the world, so it's not like it's possible, especially with COVID. Am I right? Okay, so this was one of my favorites. I was talking to a client whose grandmother also showed up. Now, during a spirit baby session, I not only invite spirit baby realm to come in, but any other entities that support the spirit baby process. So that's angels, guides, ancestors. If they are aligned with or support the spirit baby session and they're not just popping in to say, hello, oh, hi, just letting you know I'm here. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for absolute connection with spirit baby realm. Then they can come in. So this particular client's grandmother comes in and she's showing me a particular kind of food that I've never seen before. It was like this little patty. I don't know what it was made of, but it was really obvious to me. And I described how the grandmother would make these, how she would cook them, what the kitchen looked like. And the client says to me, oh my God, are you talking about sopes? Now, I don't know what sopes are. So I Googled it. and I found an image of sopes, and friggin' A, that's what they were. She says, my grandmother was known for those. Like people would come over asking specifically for her sopes. That's what she was known for. And my mind was blown. Then her grandmother showed me a local restaurant near me that has sopes that I need to go try some. So I'm going to be doing that. I still haven't done that, but I will. Okay. So that's one of my favorites. I love food, I guess. That's why. A lot of spirit babies are really into food, by the way, and music. And oh my gosh, this one didn't even make the list. I was talking to a client once. I was going to say making sounds. This client's baby was making sounds in the house, specifically with a toy that was already in the home. And this client found a toy in her daughter's room that kept playing for no reason. And not only that, in the middle of our session, the toy freaking played for the first time. She didn't even notice it. She played the recording for a friend of hers, or a friend of hers listened to it, and the friend was like, holy shit, did you hear the toy play? When Maria mentioned that. So then she had to send me back, or I went to look through the clip or whatever. Crazy. Okay. One that happened recently, a client had experienced a missed miscarriage. And we did fertility coaching together, but one of those sessions, if you do fertility coaching with me, you can exchange your sessions, some of them for spirit baby work or past life regression, things like this, as you see fit for you. So she opted for a spirit baby session. So we did one. And this spirit baby, two things. So this spirit baby was very clear about her coming to the earth side. Honestly, I don't love to say timing. That's, of course, the number one question that people have for me. When is this baby coming? And the second question is how. I don't love answering those questions because the world of possibility is the world of possibility. There are endless, trillions and trillions, or probably innumerable ways for how and when this baby can come. And things can change so easily. So I don't love answering that, but this baby was very clear. It's soon. You're on the precipice. I'm coming. And she talked about particular animals, blue birds, not a blue bird, but birds that are blue, and bunnies. Now, the thing with animals, I like to think of this as if you see animals especially, now animals in general that are tied to your spirit baby, that's fine. There's meaning, instant meaning. But when you see animals with meaning that are behaving in ways that are not normal for them, that is a giant sign. Now, sometimes when I'm working with folks, I will see the same shit. Like, this spirit baby is still communicating with me, like still telling me, hey, I'm here. Tell my mom or tell my dad that I'm still here. They need to hear it. And so I will tell them, hey, I experienced this. Are you having this experience? And they'll be like, yes. Or, oh my God, no, but I needed to hear it. I'm so glad, blah, blah, blah. Right? Okay, here's an example. My husband and I we were going to pick up our camper because we were going to go camping again. And in front of the camper was this tiny little bunny. Now, we had to pull the truck up and hook on to this camper. Friggin' bunny wouldn't move. I got out of the truck because I'm like, okay, I know whose spirit baby is this. I know whose spirit baby is doing this. So I'm going to get out and take a picture, right? You would think I'd get out of the truck, move closer. This is a gravel road, so I make a lot of noise. You would think that if I got out of the truck, walked over to this bunny and went to snap a photo, that the bunny would run away. You would think, right? No, just stayed there, just sat there, would not move. And then I almost got the sense like, okay, we're done. not almost, I did. I got the sense that, okay, this is enough photos, we're done. And I went to go get back in the truck and the bunny runs away. So, of course, I had to send the photos to this client, right? And say, oh, she's here. She's saying hi. It is unbelievable when things like that happen. So if you have a connection to a certain animal or insect or something in nature and it behaves strangely for the type of animal or insect that it is, pay special note. Okay, last piece of evidence here. And then I will let you carry on and hopefully connect with your own spirit baby and hopefully connect with your own evidence, your own anecdotal evidence for the other side, for the existence of the other side. And if you have other people besides spirit baby that are on the other side that you want to connect with, ask for a sign and then be open to what comes. Okay, here's the last piece. I was talking to a client that was absolutely not giving me any information about herself. She wanted to wait until the very end of the session to tell me anything that was going on. So I said to her, your spirit babies, for whatever reason, showing me you as a small, like a young kid wearing a polka dot dress. I don't know why, but it's this very free polka dot dress. It's like a feeling, like a dancey, like a play kind of thing, like spinning in the dress with big polka dots on it. And later in that session, baby was talking about the kind of animal that she resonates with, and then says that mom is like a hummingbird. And hummingbirds tend to like flit here and there. They, oh, what's going on over here? Oh, what's going on over here? Oh, let me see what's going on over here. And they're very fast moving and quick and lots of energy, right? So at the end of the session, now this entire time, this client, every once in a while, she'd get a little choked up and teary-eyed because I'd be saying things that were meaningful to her. There were other things too, but these are from the top of my head, what I remembered. She could probably speak to the rest. But she said, I am known in my circle of friends and family for being a polka dot queen. Everybody buys her things with polka dots on them. Always. Bags, shoes, clothes, whatever. She's wearing polka dots. So there was that, right? Then the hummingbird. She said, I have always my whole life identified as a hummingbird. I've always told people I'm a hummingbird. I'm like a hummingbird. I'm a hummingbird. I'm a hummingbird. So clear that I couldn't possibly know that shit. Am I right? I couldn't possibly know that without receiving that information from elsewhere. Okay. These are some of my favorites, and there are others I'm sure that my jaw has dropped that weren't on the forefront of my mind, so I didn't write them down. But many pieces of anecdotal evidence that the other side exists, and I highly recommend picking up also Walter McKitchen's book Spirit Baby and reading what he has to say about connecting to your own spirit baby. And if you want to do a deep dive and work with a professional, myself, who can help you move through these initial phases of learning to trust your own intuition and your own abilities, because again, they are abilities. A lot of people like to say, oh, you have a gift. Actually, no, everybody can do this. It's a consciousness expansion, and we are going to be learning all about that. If you want to do that, get on my newsletter, or you can go to drmariarothenberger.com/spiritbabytraining for more information. Okay, until next time, may you be joyful. May you feel connected to the other side. May you get all of the signs that you're looking for. And of course, as always, may you be well.